let's jump right into this explainer. Look, if you work in product management, you already know the drill. We absolutely love to celebrate the beginning of things. We throw these massive launch parties, pop the confetti, we meticulously track early activation metrics, and honestly, we just completely obsess over growth. But here's the uncomfortable truth. Nobody wants to talk about the end. Today, we're going to contrast that confetti-filled excitement of product launches with the somewhat terrifying reality of sunsetting clunky legacy features. You know the exact one I'm talking about, that outdated tool you're terrified of killing because, well, 3 vocal clients still use it, even though it's dragging down your entire engineering team. It's time to learn how to just let it die.
It's wild because organizations frequently treat product delivery all wrong. On the left side of the life cycle, the launch phase is highly celebrated and well-funded. Everyone's glued to the dashboards, giving out high fives. But on the exact opposite end, the end-of-life phase is pretty much ignored. It gets treated like a failure. Every single product has a natural life cycle, yet we tend to treat delivery as the singular event that miraculously just stops at launch. So what happens when a product stops growing? Teams freeze up. Instead of gracefully retiring it, they just leave it on life support, where it sits in the background, quietly draining server costs, eating up engineering hours, and hogging critical support bandwidth.
And that brings us to the zombie portfolio. Yeah, it's exactly what it sounds like. This is what happens when you refuse to let aging products go. Your lineup becomes a bloated collection of non-viable features kept alive purely out of fear. And listen, this isn't just harmless clutter. It actively harms your product delivery across the board because you're forcing your team to manage dead weight. By refusing to let go of the past, your future innovation slows to a crawl, and your entire portfolio transforms into this staggering, directionless zombie. Section 1. The cost of inaction. Let's look at the heavy price you pay for just standing still. All right, time for a brutal reality check. When companies actually sit down and run a proper, honest portfolio optimization analysis, they frequently discover something shocking. Up to 20% of their product lines add absolutely zero incremental value to the business. Actually, think about that for a second. Up to a fifth of your engineering capacity is being entirely wasted on features that your market has completely moved on from. That is a massive chunk of your operational power dedicated to nothing but dead weight. All because nobody wants to make the tough call to hit the kill switch. So what does this inaction actually cause? A massive capacity drain. First off, refusing to sunset non-viable products accumulates huge amounts of technical debt. On top of that, you're actively forcing your support teams to waste precious hours answering tickets for broken, deprecated workflows. You're fragmenting your product lineups, which totally confuses your marketing efforts and dilutes your core message. But worst of all, it severely drains your engineering team's operational capacity. By being terrified of upsetting a tiny fraction of legacy users, teams are literally sacrificing their ability to build tomorrow's blockbuster products.
Let me give you a highly recognizable example of doing this right. Let's look at the Apple iPod Classic. It launched in 2001, and we all know it absolutely dominated its category throughout the mid-2000s. It was a cultural phenomenon. But after years of declining sales and the massive rise of the smartphone, Apple didn't keep it alive just for nostalgia's sake. No way. In 2014, they completely retired it to free up capacity for the future. So if Apple can confidently kill an absolute market dominator like the iPod Classic, you can definitely kill your outdated dashboard widget from 3 years ago.
Section 2. The Sunset Protocol. Here is how we start freeing up your capacity. I want you to mentally picture the absolute oldest, lowest performing product in your portfolio right now. Got it? Okay, ask yourself this justification test. Is the cost of maintaining it actually justified by the revenue it brings in? And is it still closely aligned with your current company strategy? If you can't give a definitive yes to both halves of that question, why does it still exist? It's taking up space, time, and money that should be going towards something that actually moves the needle. Section 3. The Execution Playbook. Let's walk through a systematic wind down. Now, to execute this without causing a massive customer revolt, a product manager has to oversee 3 key steps. Step 1, establish objective kill criteria. Step 2, over-communicate and alert. And step 3, guide the transition. Let's break these down one by one, because the goal here is to make this off-ramp as frictionless as humanly possible. Step 1 is all about establishing objective kill criteria. We really have to stop making product retirement an emotional debate. Look, product managers naturally fall in love with what they build. It's human nature.
And that's exactly why you need clear, data-driven criteria to evaluate if a product still delivers meaningful value, or if the market is even attractive anymore. The sheer beauty of this tactic is that you agree on these metrics in advance with your team. So if the metrics fall below those agreed-upon thresholds, boom, the sunset protocol is triggered automatically. No heated arguments, no hurt feelings, just pure strategy. Moving right along to step 2, over-communicate and alert. Literally, the worst way to kill a product is in the dark. You have to gracefully sunset legacy products by alerting your customers well in advance. You owe them a clear, unmistakable timeline, and you need to transparently explain exactly why the decision was made. Silence is the ultimate enemy of trust in this situation. The more transparent you are about why you're moving on, the more your customers are actually going to respect the decision. And finally, step 3, guide the transition. Sunsetting a product does not mean abandoning your users and leaving them stranded. It means moving them forward to a much better future. Your strategy has to involve actively migrating users to newer alternatives. Maybe you offer some major incentives for upgrading, or at the absolute very least, you provide robust, easy-to-use export tools so they can take their data elsewhere safely. A responsible wind-down heavily protects your brand reputation, it retains that hard-earned customer trust, and it frees you up to repurpose old components for brand new innovations. Section 4. Unstoppable Innovation. It's time to fuel the future. I'm going to throw a bit of a challenge your way right now. Are you funding your company's future, or are you just providing expensive life support for its past? It's a pretty stark reality check. If you don't have a proactive, systematic plan to kill your aging products, I can promise you this: your competitors will happily do it for you by rendering your entire company obsolete. Growth requires pruning. To truly succeed, here is the exact formula you need: objective kill criteria, plus a graceful transition for your users, plus reallocated capacity for your engineering teams, equals unstoppable innovation. End-of-life planning is not a failure by any stretch of the imagination. It's an absolute necessity for sustainable growth. Establishing a lightweight, consistent review cadence allows our teams to reinvest those incredibly precious resources into massive, forward-looking opportunities. So, as we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with a provocative question to really chew on. What is the most outdated, useless product your company is still stubbornly keeping alive today? Take a hard, honest look at your own zombie portfolio. Stop hoarding old products out of some misplaced sense of loyalty. Stop managing dead weight. Reclaim your capacity, clear out the clutter, and honestly, don't be afraid to start killing.